Welcome back to Naptime Sports Talk Podcast. Thank you for tuning in to our latest episode. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to Naptime Sports Talk Podcast. On today's episode, I'm going to be doing my top wide receiver rankings for the NFL Draft. Originally, I was going to do a top 10, but I think I'm going to try to stick to top 6 here. I'm going to go over the top 15 players in my rankings, and then I'll go into greater detail within the top 6 for the draft rankings for the NFL Draft. So just some guys that missed my top 15. Just some shout outs. So Bryce Lance out of North Dakota State. He's actually from my wife's hometown. So shout out Marshall, Minnesota. My wife and her brother Nate. Shout out Nate if you're listening. And Bob, if you're listening, he grew up on their block, so they kind of grew up with Trey Lance, a little younger than my wife, but more so around my brother-in-law's age, a little younger than him, but kind of cool that they grew up in the same neighborhood in Marshall, Minnesota. So, yeah, so Bryce Lance just missed my top 15, and then Ted Hurst out of Georgia State. So a couple guys to keep an eye on. I think both of them are going to have some solid NFL careers and will make a difference at the next level. So going in my top 15, number 15 is Jacoby Lane out of USC. Number 14 for me is Antonio Williams out of Clemson. Number 13 for me is Chris Brazzell the second out of Tennessee. Number 12 is Skylar Bell out of UConn. Number 11 is Jeremy Bernard out of Alabama. Number 10 for me is Malachi Fields out of Notre Dame. Number 9 is Zachariah Branch out of Georgia. Number 8 for me is Elijah Surratt, wide receiver out of Indiana. Number 7 is Chris Bell for me. I thought about putting him a little higher, but he had an injury this past season, and I'm unsure how he's going to come back from that. But overall, a very solid wide receiver, and he's out of Louisville. Yeah, so getting into my top 6. And so a lot of those guys, this is a really deep wide receiver class. So a lot of those guys are going to go in round 2. Some will go to round 3. So I'm really curious to see where all these guys go. They're going to be, I think they're going to be pretty solid at the next level. Obviously, not all of them are going to work out as NFL Draft. But I think a lot of them will have really solid careers. Some guys we'll see if the Vikes will take a guy in maybe round 3 or something like that, but we'll have other positions that they need to fill first in my mind. So, all right. So number 6 for me, I'm gonna go more in depth on these guys, is Casey Concepcion, 5'11", 190 pounds, junior out of Texas A&M. So Concepcion actually transferred to Texas A&M for the 2025 season after spending 2 years at North Carolina State. He was one of the top targets this season for the Aggies and their quarterback, Marcel Reed. Concepcion finished the season with 13 games played. He had 61 catches for 919 yards and 9 touchdowns. He also had 10 carries for 75 yards and a touchdown. He had 258 snaps out wide versus 138 snaps from the slot, so he has versatility. You can go outside, you can put him inside in the slot. So this was actually complete difference from his usage when he was at NC State. So he transferred to Texas A&M from NC State. So he actually, at NC State, he played 57 snaps out wide versus 320 snaps from the slot. So he's able to show a little more work on what he can do on out wide at wide receiver position. When working from the slot in 2025, he had 25 catches for 281 yards. He will head to the draft with a total of 185 catches for 2,218 receiving yards and 25 touchdowns in his career. He also had 70 carries during his career for 431 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. He also threw a touchdown pass of 17 yards during the 2023 season for NC State. He received an overall grade of 78.5 from PFF this season. And if you look at their rating skills, that is, he was rated good on their scales. So, yeah, so some strengths for Casey Concepcion. His yak ability had an average of 7.2 yards after the catch. He possesses elite short area quickness and vision. making him a nightmare to tackle in the screen game on shallow crossing routes. Another one is he provides versatility. In 2025, became the first Texas A&M player in the modern era to score as a pass catching or reception, a rush, and a punt return in the same season. So he's able to return punts as well. Some areas improve, like he has some drop issues. He had a 10.3 drop rate this past season at Texas A&M. Some of it can go to concentration drops, so that significantly needs to go back down. And then his frame and play strength, he's kind of a little smaller, so at 190 he can be physically overwhelmed a little bit, especially by press corners. So we'll see if he's able to, we'll see what he's going to do at the next level, if he's going to go outside or if he's going to be more of that kind of gadget/slot receiver at the next level. My comp for him is Zay Flowers. And I think his range right now is really anywhere from late round 1 to round 2. So, I just did a mock the other day with a buddy, and I think he went into a late round 1 for us. So, yeah, KC Concepcion, look out for him from Texas A&M. So my next guy is number 5, and he's kind of rose up draft boards over the process of the draft, and that's Omar Cooper Jr. So he was a wide receiver out of Indiana. He's a very reliable wide receiver, can move the chains for you. So he's 6 foot 201, and then this past season he had 69 receptions, 937 yards, and 13 touchdowns. One thing from him that really stood out to me is he had 27 missed tackles he forced on defenders this season, so he's pretty shifty, which is in the elite tier there for PFF. Strengths, Yak Monster. He's going to, get the ball in his hands and just let him go to work. So if you don't know what yak means, that means yard after catch. Versatility, so just being able to go out and play. He primarily played in the slot with 83% of snaps there, but he also played in the outside as well. So he can have that versatility. Ball skills, he has very limited drops in his career. And then one thing I really like about him is blocking in the run game. He is able to really be effective as a run blocker. So that's something I like from a wide receiver too. One team that I've been mocking for him is kind of Philadelphia. I think he would be a good fit there, but I think he's going to go anywhere in the top 25, I would say. So we'll see if he can make his way up a little more. But yeah, so Omar Cooper Jr., like I said before, he's really rising up draft boards during the draft process, and just an overall solid player out of Indiana. Number 4 is Denzel Boston. So Denzel Boston, 6'4", 209 pounds, a redshirt junior out of Washington. He's a big-bodied boundary receiver. During 2025, he had 300 snaps out wide versus 65 snaps from the slot. So this past season, he had 18 catches for 241 yards from the slot. He finished 2025 with 62 catches for 881 yards and 11 touchdowns. He's more of a possession-type receiver who uses his height to go up and high point the football, so look for him in the red zone. He had an impressive contested catch rate of 76.9% and a drop rate of only 3.1%. He only had 2 drops during the 2025 season. He received an overall grade of 88.0 from PFF for this past season. He will leave Washington with a total of 132 catches for 1,781 yards and 20 touchdowns, and he's one of the best run-blocking receivers in this class. So some strengths: elite contested catch, his ability to go up to get 50-50 balls. Like I said, his contested catch average is 76.9, one of the best among the class. He's that prototypical X-frame that teams look for on the outside. So he has long arms, large wingspan, gives him a big catch radius, and like I said, he can go up and high point the football and jump over defenders. So areas improve. He does kind of lack elite speed. He's more of kind of a build-up runner than a explosive vertical threat. And then, he doesn't have a whole lot of catches or yak production. He's more of a possession type receiver. his yak was 4.9 per reception this past season. So, but yeah, he kind of reminds me of Drake London a little bit. And then I think, I think that Boston deserves to be in round 1, but I would definitely say he's probably going to go outside the top 15, maybe even 20. He could slide the round 2, we'll see, but I like Boston a lot. I think he one of the best, go up and high point the football receivers in this class. So number 3 for me is Jordan Tyson. So Tyson is 6'2", 200 pounds, redshirt junior out of Arizona State. Actually transferred to Arizona State from Colorado in 2023. Tyson had a breakout season for Arizona State in 2024 and continued the success in 2025. He was a part of the first team All Big 12 in both years and was a third team All-American in 2025. He played in 9 games before getting injured. He had 61 catches for 711 yards and 8 touchdowns. In 2024, he played in 12 games. He had 75 catches for 1,098 yards and 10 touchdowns with an average of 14.6 yards per catch. He had a crazy amount of targets in those 2 years. He was targeted 210 times. He received an overall 82.9 grade from PFF with 89.0 grade versus man coverage. Over the last 2 years, he had 455 snaps out wide versus 242 snaps from the slot. In 2025, he had 17 catches for 172 receiving yards from the slot. So some strengths for me, he only had 1 drop, so he's pretty sure-handed. 1 drop in 2025, so he's sure-handed. He has a good route package. He kind of reminds me, he has like a basketball background. His brother actually plays in the NBA. His name's Jalen Tyson. Route nuance, so he's able to, like I said, he's a polished route runner who understands how to, kind of pace his breaks and find soft openings in zone coverage. He had a tremendous rating against man coverage. He earned 89.0 grade from PFF. And another high point guy, he can go high point the football and he's elite. He has elite vertical to win in the red zone as well. So areas of improvement, he can't really improve this, but he does have some injury concerns, in the past couple seasons now. So he broke his collarbone in 2024 and then another late injury in 2025 knocked him out of the season. Yards after catch, he's more of a possession vertical threat, like I said. Doesn't have a lot of he doesn't have a lot of yards after the catch in college. And then play strength, just needs to get a little more physical and be able to get a little bigger. Adding some more muscle onto his frame will help him versus pressing corners in the NFL. So he kind of reminds me of Michael Pittman Jr. I think he's going to go in the top 15 round 1. I know some people even have him as number 2, which I could see, why you'd have him as your number 2 player or even number 1. So really these top 3 guys to me are the top 3 more surefire guys I think are definitely going in the top 15, top 20 for sure. So as the draft is crazy, we know how it works and guys can fall and things happen. But all right, so my number 2 overall player is Makai Lemon, 5'11", 195, junior out of USC. He's a dynamic playmaker who's a nightmare to tackle in space. Forced 21 missed tackles in 2025. He won the Blindnikoff Award this season, which is awarded to the top wide receiver in the country. He also won the Polynesian College Football Player of the Year, and he was a first-team All-American. He finished the 2025 season with a 90.8 elite grade from PFF. In 2025, he finished the year with 79 catches for 1,156 yards. 502 yards of that was after the catch, and 11 touchdowns. He had a contested rate of 66.7%. He secured 10 out of 15 contested catches and a drop rate of only 2.5. Only 2 drops all season. He earned an 81.3 grade against man coverage. He finished his career at USC with 137 catches for 2,008 yards and 14 touchdowns. During his career at USC, he had 535 snaps from the slot and 161 snaps out wide. During this season, he had 52 catches from the slot for 791 yards. So Makai Lemon, he's one of my favorite players in this draft. There's been some mocks where people have him slip to 18 and people are taking him for Minnesota Vikings. So we'll see what happens. News just came out yesterday. Minnesota Vikings picked up Jordan Addison's 5th-year option. We will see what they do with that, if he's going to be a trade guy in the future. But, I just don't see it. I don't see us giving Jordan Addison a big second contract. So I could see him being a trade candidate down the road, especially with his off-the-field antics. So Makai Lemon could be a good fit in KOC's offensive scheme if we did go that route. So I would not be opposed to doing that. But we just have some other areas of needs that I think we need to address. But if he's there, he's going to be one of my top players available at 18 if he's there. And I think at times you just got to go for that top tier, best available player, and don't always draft for need. So that's where you can kind of get yourself into trouble. But some strengths of his ball skills. So despite his sub 6'0" frame, he is an elite attested catch winner, as I said, master of space and yak. So he's able to just find open areas in the field. I'm going to talk about my comp for me. And then his versatility and gadget ability. So he's a triple threat in 2025, recorded 2 rushing touchdowns and threw for a passing touchdown as well, showcasing his high-level football IQ and athletic versatility. So I just think that, he just gives you a little bit of you can put him on trick plays and things like that. So, KOC kind of likes to do those once in a while. But I still don't think that Lemon's going to get to 18 at all. There's just no way. Then his toughness and frame size. So he plays much larger than his 195 listing. He's fearless across the middle and is one of the toughest receivers in the class. Like I said before, his contested catch ability is one of the best in this class. He can go up, get the football, take hits, hang on to the football. It's really impressive. So, and the one thing is for areas to improve, he doesn't really have that top end burner speed, but he really makes up for it with his route ability. So the player he reminds me of is Jackson Smith-Njigba. Just smooth route runner like that, finds open space, get him the football, let him go to work with that yak ability. So that's who he reminds me of a lot, actually. So I think he's going to go top 15. Wouldn't be surprised if he goes top 10, top 12. So, all right, my number 1 receiver is Carnell Tate, 6'3", 195, junior out of Ohio State. So he is one of the most polished and technical sound receivers in this class. He was a first-team All-Big Ten wide receiver in 2025. In 2025, he had 51 catches for 875 yards and 9 touchdowns as the number 2 option to Jeremiah Smith, who is my top prospect right now in the 2027 class. He is the unicorn coming out next year. I like to call him the next one. But back to Tate, he has an impressive contested catch rate of 85.7%, which is a good measure that translates to the NFL. He can go up to high point the football and come down with it. He received an 88.6 overall grade this past season from PFF and a grade of 75.2 against man coverage. He's primarily an outside receiver. He had 744 snaps on the outside versus 107 snaps from the slot. In 2025, he had 151 yards from the slot with 5 catches. He has that ability to play at both spots if needed. He finished his career at Ohio State with a total of 121 catches for 1,872 yards and 14 touchdowns. I think he can be a true number 1 in the NFL. He was definitely the number 2 there at Ohio State behind Jeremiah Smith. And then I think he played with Marvin Harrison Jr. as well. So strengths, elite route technician. He's a surgeon as a route runner. He understands how to manipulate defensive back leverage with a suitable head fakes and tempo changes. Some scouts say that his footwork reminds him of Chris Olave, former Buckeye. So sure-handed, he's recorded 0 drops in 2025. Body control and sideline awareness, he can go up, maintain that steady frame of his, and come down with the ball, and also be able to he knows where the boundary is to do his toe taps on the sideline. Football IQ, again, he's and another guy that can find the soft zone or the zone. He's another guy that can identify the soft spots in zone coverage and he adjusts his routes to help the quarterback. So we'll see where he ends up in this draft. And mocks that I've been doing, been having him go number 5, the Giants. I think that's kind of like the top I can see him go, be maybe potentially to Tennessee, but I think kind of New York Giants at number 5 is where he starts his draft, where he can be potentially drafted. So here he's improved. Again, he's not a burner, but he's able to identify, like I said, identify soft spots and zone coverages and gets open. He's more of a possession ability, so he doesn't really have that yak after the catch, but he's going to be moving the chains for you. And then play strength, he has a leaner build, but he'll probably need to put on a little more weight to help himself versus physical NFL press man coverages. So yeah, player he reminds me of a little bit is Tyler Boyd, and then I think he's going to go top 10. That's my range for him. I think he's going to go somewhere in that top 10. If he does fall out of there, he's not getting out of the top 15, I don't think. So, but we'll see. I've been wrong before. So, yeah, that is my top 6 wide receivers in more depth than I did my top 15 overall there. So, it's coming up soon. March 31st today. So we are almost a month out now. Not even that. So this year, the NFL draft's actually the first round's on my birthday. If you're Vikes fans, the last time the NFL draft was on my birthday, April 23rd, was when we drafted Justin Jefferson. So that was a hell of a birthday present that year. So, but all right, well, that wraps it up. So yeah, thank you for tuning in to the episode. I appreciate you continuing to support the podcast, and let me know what you think. If you have your top wide receivers, send me your list too. So, all right. Well, until next time, Skol Vikes, straight cash homie. Thank you for listening to our episode. Be sure to give us a follow on Instagram and X at Naptime Sports Talk Podcast for content related to the pod. Thank you for the support.